Good morning. This is Gurula, and it's Monday, beginning of another week. Expecting a wild ride in the market. It's May 23rd. So, yeah, David, looking at Exelon here, and I think they are an energy provider. Let me just see what it is they do. But I just thought they had an interesting chart. So they are a utility services holding company. They have Pepco, which is a local utility company for us, BG&E, which is local here. Interesting. Okay, so and what I've noticed about them is that it moves up, then it gives some back, it consolidates and moves up again. Declines a little bit, consolidates, moves up again. So we've had that pattern all year. And now we're in this consolidation. So expecting at some point it will break out of this consolidation and make a move up again. And it should make a new high at that point based on everything we've seen here. And as taking a closer look at this, this is an inside candle, so an inside week. So last week, this is the last week's candle. This was a high, this was a low, and it's inside this candle. So this, again, is further evidence of consolidation. So expecting it would break out one way or the other. I've not really traded utilities, so I don't know what to expect. But when I look at a 4-hour chart, which tells me where it is right now, it is close to being able to break through this previous high from last week. And if it opens and breaks that high, then this would be the target here at 48.36. And if it breaks that, then it would really indicate that it's breaking out of this consolidation. Don't know if that's going to hold because it's tried a couple of times, as we see here, but it does have support right now above the 5-day EMA, which is good. Looks like the 5 will cross above the 20. And that would mean for the first time in quite some time, well, since the last time it was aligned properly was the 28th before it went into this consolidation. That would mean all the EMAs are aligned properly. Then it could continue to move to the upside. But it only has an ATR of $1.26, so that's not very much. And given, well, the premiums aren't very expensive for the options. So that could be an interesting chart. And coin, I really like coin. I like this consolidation here on coin. This is an inside week as well. So if I go back to the weekly chart, this is really compressed. So we had this fall from grace here, and now we've got this really compressed consolidation, and it's pretty good volume, and it's above average volume for the week. Not like this, but of course here is where it had the big drop. So this indicates there is buying, because if you look at the volume, that's pretty strong. The candle didn't really move, so there may be a lot of folk who are either long or short on this. We don't really know, but we do know that this is a consolidation, so it's going to break one way or the other. And the question is, which direction will it go? Will it break down, or will it break out to the upside? So looking at the 4-hour chart, it is still in this consolidation. So there's no indication here one way or the other what's going to happen. We do see support down here though on this ATR trailing stop. And if I go to a 1-hour chart, we see resistance here. So it needs to break this and then break to the upside. And on the 30-minute chart, we see resistance above. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens today. I'm going to put this SPY on here, and good morning, Princess. How are you this morning? And we're going to just take a look and see what's happening with the VIX, because that's usually gives us some signal. Now, I looked at the VIX over the weekend, and it appeared as though it was going to decline. And the reason why I say that is it's below all of this resistance. And I placed this chart in the Discord. And I'm going to pull up the Discord for a minute and show you what's in there, because there are a couple of stocks that I listed as buys for the week. And I thought they presented some really interesting opportunities. Oops, don't want to go there. That's live. Picks for the week. So week of June 23rd. Deere is one that is really interesting. It met its ATR at 345.46. And just to show you what that chart looks like, and I didn't look at it this morning. Let me just get this out of the way for a second. So if we take a look at Deere, we're not going to worry about what happens when the market opens, so we don't trade right away. So you've got this movement here on Deere, and it met its ATR at 345.46, and it closed at 313. So there's quite a delta there. So 345.46 is where it's all the way up here somewhere. So that's going to be quite interesting to see what happens with Deere. It looks like it's going to continue to decline, but we don't know. It could make up some of this room here. And 320 is where the resistance is. Look like it's starting out to the upside today. So if I went to Deere and I went to a 5-minute chart, Deere would be something to consider, because again, I expect that it will make up some of that overextension or oversold position that it has on its ATR. So Deere's one. Another is, let's see here, let me find my place. So there's a stock called Sava, and you may be familiar with Sava. Well, before we get to Sava, there's Fisker. And wow, just looking at Deere, just let me pull this up because it is really making a strong move to the upside. So this is, again, this is Deere. Good volume. So Sava is another one. So this is what we saw in Sava from last week. I'm expecting Sava to hit this ATR trailing stop and then to get rejected. So I would probably be playing this to the downside. So 26.19, I'm going to mark this. 26.19. And I'm going to create this watch list based on the things that we talked about. How do I create a watch list? All right, so picks of the week. All right, so we have Deere, we have Sava. And next we have Fisker, FSR. Fisker is an interesting chart because it too had an ATR trailing stop, and we see that it is getting rejected here. It's getting smashed. So we expected that it would decline, and there it goes to the downside. ATR trailing stops of 1169. So Fisker is one that we called. And you'll see if risk hitting ATR trailing stop resistance on daily, look for downside opportunity. SABA, we just talked about SABA. And then there's ZIM, hitting trailing stop resistance on daily multiple times. So for ZIM, we look for a breakout. And let me see if I can pull up a chart for ZIM and see what's happening with it this morning. Let me put it in our list, first of all. So for ZIM, we would look for a breakout on ZIM. So here's the ATR trailing stop, 6701. I'm going to mark that. So we expect, or I expect, that ZIM will hit this trailing stop again and it will push through, and then that should give it a clean break to the upside. And what else do we have here? So coin, I really like coin, appears to be consolidated. So looks like it could break out to the downside is what I have for coin. So coin right now is hitting the 5-day EMA, which is at 66.54. It's at 66.10. So from there, I would expect it's going to get rejected and it's going to end up trading down. So by the time we are ready to look at these, we'll have our opening range breakout on our charts, which will then be helpful for making some decisions. And of course, the VIX closed below algorithmic support resistance on the daily, and so provided it continues to show a downward move, the market may make strong gains to the upside. So that's what I have in the Discord. I'm going to put here SPY because we are probably going to trade SPY today, VIX, so we can keep a track of what's happening. All right, so I'm going to go to my setup for trading. Pull up the chart, the watch list, pick of the week. And we're going to keep our eyes on some of these things. All right, so deer. I need a 2-minute chart. All right, so deer open, made that strong move to the upside. And of course, it's hitting this resistance that we charted here at 320.92. So based on this shooting star, we're expecting it to decline. So it looks like the VIX is making a move up. So it's doing what we sort of were concerned about here. And of course, we don't care which direction the market goes. We're going to trade with the market, not against it. That is the plan. So it looks like we have a rise in VIX, and it looks like this market is going to continue to the downside. So looking at SPY, that's what we've got. We talked about SABA. So we haven't quite gotten to that ATR trailing stop on SABA, but we do see we have a shooting star candle. Looks like this is at the top of the move. So let's see. Yep, that's at the top. So that's a shooting star. So we are expecting SABA to decline. Fisker, we're expecting to decline, and it has been doing so. ZIM, we're expecting a breakout to the upside. So it's restricted currently by this ATR trailing stop, but it does appear as though it is consolidating here. So we're going to get a strong move one way or the other. We are expecting it to be to the upside. Depending upon what's happening with the VIX, then we would decide maybe to trade if the VIX is declining and if it looks like it's going to hold, then we would look to trade ZIM to the upside. Don't really want to trade against the market sentiment, even though this could still give us a move in that direction. Coin, we're expecting a decline on coin. And we're going to check out on SPY, which is declining, but we could get a turnaround because we've got the VIX hitting this resistance level here at 29.72. So that's our setup for today. If the VIX finds support here at 29.72, then we're looking for it to go after that 33.84, which is the target. And it does appear right now that the VIX is going to be unrestrained. All right, any questions or thoughts about today?
No question. But deer look good. That was a good call, Richard.
Yeah, that would have been a good scalp on the open. And I think it still has room to the upside. But given market sentiment, I'd be really cautious on trading anything to the upside today, no matter how good it looks, because it's hard to swim against the current. And if you look at the VIX, it's just, again, it doesn't look like there's any relief in sight for folks who are trading to the upside. But that could, who knows, it could fall as quickly as it climbs. So I would be looking at Saba. It's climbing, but I'm expecting when it hits this ATR trailing stop here, that it's going to decline. And I would look to trade coin to the downside as well. ZIM, I believe, is a nice trade to the upside. It does have to break this ATR trailing stop here, but that's all the way at $67. So by then you could take a nice profit. And this, looks like we've got a hammer, a shooting star on the VIX. And I just see ZIM shoot up. I did. Okay. So ZIM, again, looks like a nice trade to the upside. I like the volume. I like the move. We've got a falling VIX. So that means the market is going to rocket back to the upside. So what we're going to get here is sort of a compressed, which is what we want, is sort of a compressed opening high and opening low. And we'll see if I can mark an opening high and opening low. There goes deer. So here's where the resistance is on the long candle. But once deer gets above this 320 and finds support, it should be good. So now I would not be looking to trade to the downside, because if the VIX is falling, that means market sentiment, to me, that means market sentiment is going to be to the upside. So I would look to trade ZIM. I would consider coin to the upside, but it needs to get above the 5-day EMA. I would not trade Saba to the upside. I just think that this ATR trailing stop is going to be way too much for it. So even if it does climb above the ATR trailing stop, I don't think that's going to last. I think it's just going to get rejected and it's going to decline. So deer, Saba, Fisker, ZIM. I like this. I really like this. Excuse me. And if we look at ZIM on like a 2 minute, look at this chart. Look at that. That's a thing of beauty. That's a scalp if I ever saw one. You've got this consolidation here and then this breakout. You could enter a trade here and you could take your profit here and do really well off that trade. Coin, and in about 3 minutes, we're going to get our opening range. So I have some other stocks in my inside bar list, and I should pick those out. So let me just go to, oh, let me go to Monday is what I want, I think. So DWAC is an inside bar, and I'm bearish on it. So we don't see it here, but if I open up the daily, we can see it here. So it's hitting the, looks like it's hitting the 5-day EMA, which is at 44.46. So I'm expecting it to get rejected. ESC is an inside bar weekly. It hit this resistance here, which is a previous week's high, and got rejected. Fast now is another square. And the idea with these upstart is when they breach the opening, not the opening, when they breach the previous week's high, a previous week's low, that's a signal for an entry. I'm going to add upstart to the list. I like upstart because I like the way that it moves. Add that to this list here. Wayfair. So I'm going to show you on a 4-hour chart what those look like. Still consolidating because if they're in the middle, they are consolidating. EXC here has a shooting star, it looks like. Fast now broke through and it's finding support. Square looks like it's going to be a nice move to the downside, so we're going to add that to our list. I think this market is going to be moving down, but we'll see. Upstart, Wayfair looks like it's a move to the downside. Facebook, I just have Facebook on my list because I really want to trade it, and I'm not really sure what direction it's going to go, but it looks like it's going to be down. And this was one that I think I sent this out in the text. So Newmont Corporation. Newmont had this hammer here on Friday, which said to me, this is a stock to be in. And it was one that you would have wanted to buy on the close on Friday with the anticipation that it would gap open or move up quickly. So I still think it has room to the upside. So I'm going to add this to the list as well, and we'll watch this one. And then Netflix was another one. Of course, Neo. Neo looks like it's going to give back some of what it gained. And then Rivian is going to give back some of what it gained. And it looks like we are going to get our opening range here very soon. So we should have that on our chart in just a bit. Let's go to this pick of the week list. Make sure I do have that set up, and I'm pretty sure I do. Yep, ORB. All right. So we should see on our chart here soon our opening range high and low. I'm going to see if I can mark this using my own opening high and low. And so for Deer, it is just such a nice trade. Sava, Fisker, Zim, Coin. All right, so we have an opening high and opening low for Coin. SPY, we have an opening high and an opening low. Upstart. Upstart has a high ATR. That's what I like about it. Square. Facebook. Newmont. Neo and Rivian. All right, so we've got quite a bit of stuff to look at here. And I'm going to go to a 1 minute chart. Put these alphabetical order so I can, and let's take a look at SPY and sort of focus on SPY for the moment. So if we look at Deer is already up 11, no, 12%. I mean, that's just a nice trade. It's a very nice trade. And we don't have our opening range breakout on our chart yet. Not really sure why that is the case. Let me just take a look and see what my settings say here. Oh, I've got it set for 10 o'clock. No wonder. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're going to take a look here and see what we might consider. So we've got already Deer as a choice, Sava, Fisker we would stay away from, Zim as a choice. And I really like Zim. And we have, I'm sure, SPY. So looking at this now, we've broken through to the upside. So we've got SPY consolidating here. So we want to look to buy off of the next move up. So it'd been great to have picked up SPY here, but we're just going to keep an eye on it. Looks like it's going to reverse and come back and test the support. Well, it looks like it may not come back. So let's just gonna see what we've got going. So Upstart, Square, Facebook, Newmont. So Newmont gapped open and now it looks like it's trying to figure out what it wants to do. Neo and Rivian. So I'm gonna look at a daily chart for each of these just to kind of get some perspective. Okay, so Deer is still continuing to move up. Sava is broken through the 8-year trailing stop, so it looks like it may have some momentum to the upside. Fisker looks a little weak. Zim is one that we like. Coin is one that I like as well. 66.87. All right, so it's above the 5-day EMA. So let's take a look at coin. And it's just breaking through. Have to be careful because we've got a lot of volatility and we've got the VIX now, which is moving again back to the upside. So we're expecting all those things that were moving and climbing to come back and test support. So it looks like we'll get a chance to trade SPY today. The question is, what is it going to do? And which direction are we going to trade it? So here's, if this holds, this is where we would look to make an entry on SPY. And let's see what happens here to the 25th. Maybe about some time. All right, so it looks like SPY may hold here. We're on a 1-minute chart, so we want to see this candle close. And we want to see another green candle to give us some confidence. I'm looking at buying the May 25th SPY call, not today's expiration, but the 25th. And I'm going to buy the 399. I think 400 is a good number for SPY. As a matter of fact, I'm going to probably look at the 400 instead. I'm going to buy the $400 call if, in fact, this works. If not, then I'm going to buy a put. So we're going to wait. We're going to wait for the stock to give us some direction. So we see we have this opening range low here. I'll move this. Move this because they are the same. Let's see what else is going on. Deers seemingly unaffected. Sava, we expected it to get rejected here, and it just did. You saw the blue dot disappear. All right, so Sava, looks like the next level of support for Sava is going to be around 24.70. That's a $2 move. Fisker, we expected Fisker to get rejected. It did. Here, and we see it moving quickly to the downside. So once it breaks this opening range low, that would signal the opportunity for an entry. Zim, it consolidated, it moved up, it came back, and it found support. Now, ideally, if the market was continuing to move to the upside, this is where we make an entry on Zim once it moves above this 5-day EMA. We look at this daily chart. What we see is this consolidation, and this is really, I think, a breakout. This has just been a bunch of junk here. We want to see it break above that. We still don't have any real certainty that that's going to happen yet. But it looks pretty good given the fact that you've got this opening range high and it looks like it's holding. But given the VIX climbing, market sentiment is working against us. So coin. Looks like the move is to the downside on coin. And given that, I think I'm going to go with it. So it's about a $58 call on coin. Well, sorry, put on coin. But I'm going to see if I can't wait for it to come back and test this resistance. So I can get rid of this and this. Coin is an inside week. We looked at that on the chart here. So once it breaks through the downside here at $60.51, that would trigger an entry, but we can get in a little bit sooner using our method here. And I'm going to go ahead and buy coin to the downside. All right, so we use the opening range low, opening range breakout low to buy coin to the downside. And given what's been happening here with this consolidation, it was a strong consolidation here. We expected it to break out one way or the other. So now the next signal for us would be if it breaches this previous week's low of $60.51 to add to our position with a target of $40.83. Now that's for the week, not for the day. All right, so here we go. We'll just keep an eye on coin in the market generally.
What was your strike on coin?
Let's see, what did I get? I got the $58 put. Now, it may very well be that I don't normally do this, but given the fact that this is an inside week, I may actually swing this particular put. Because again, I have a target of $40.83. So that's a $20 move. So if it breaks below this $60.51, and if it is going to close below that, then I'm staying. And I'm going to take this all the way down to this $40 mark. So I'm not heavily invested, so I could actually trade something else and swing this at the same time. So looking at SPY, the trade for SPY would be to the downside, it looks like. I wouldn't swing it to the downside. And let's see what's happening with the rest of our So deer still looks strong. Sava hasn't yet broken the opening range low. Fisker, that's a trade to the downside. We sort of called that one. Zim is coming back. Coin, we've got a little consolidation here, but expecting that to continue moving down. SPY, the VIX. The VIX is climbing. Upstart. Square. All right, so it looks like Square is a downside trade. We want to actually, given the fact that it's already moved below and it's now finding some support, we wanted to come back and to get rejected here and start to move down. And that would be the entry on Square to the downside. Facebook, downside. And again, the reason why I really like coin to the downside is because of that consolidation. So Newmont is consolidating after gapping open. Neo hasn't given a signal yet. What's interesting about Neo is you see the ATR trailing stop is right here on the opening range low. So that could be support. So Neo could actually hold there. If it breaks through, then that should be a strong move down. Rivian, downside. So I'm going to enter a trade on Rivian to the downside. I don't normally take probably two different stocks, but I like Rivian, and based on everything that's been happening, I can't believe it's been continuing to climb. But this would be another one that I would actually swing to the downside. Let's see what's happening with coin, given the fact that Rivian has turned. All right, so we've got coin, which is climbing, and we would expect it to hit resistance here and get rejected. So this is going to be our stop, this opening range low. And for SPY, so I'm looking at SPY on a daily chart, and SPY by EMA is going to be a problem. 393.06. So I'm not expecting a positive move out of SPY today because it's below the 5-day EMA. That's a lot of resistance. And looking at the VIX has a lot of support here. It's above the 5, it's above the long candle support. It's above this algorithmic or institutional line that we've drawn. So we are going to stay in our trade on coin to the downside for sure. And look at Rivian. So if Rivian breaks this opening range low again, I'm going to buy a put on Rivian. I'm going to look at the $25 put. Rivian moves on average $3.64 a day. Let's see, the high today, 28.61. So it still has another dollar and change or more to move. So 26.90. So maybe I'll buy the $26. Let's keep an eye on Rivian and what's happening with coin. All right, so coin is still making its move to the downside. You know what? I think what I'm going to do is not put my capital at risk. I'm just going to sit in this trade on coin. I would like to, I don't want to overtrade. I do like Rivian to the downside, but I'm not going to take that trade. I think it's going to be a good trade, but I'm currently in coin, and coin is performing nicely. And if it breaks below, I don't even see it yet. Let's see. If it breaks below this $60.51, then I'm going to add to my current position. And again, I'm looking at taking this down to $40.83. That's for the week, so that's a weekly trade. But obviously, if I'm up considerably with a nice gain, then I would probably get out and take my profit. Well, we have a hammer here on coin. Hammer typically signals reversal. Now it's a red versus green hammer, but hammer nevertheless. So this could signal a reversal, but then we are expecting it to be short-lived. Is there anything you guys want to take a look at other than the things we've talked about this morning, or would you like to focus on a particular stock just to kind of, talk through some of the technicals?
And Richard, I have a question.
Sure.
So looking at coin, I'm looking at the RB, and it has the breakout levels.
Uh-huh.
So I see the opening high and the opening low, the ranges.
Okay.
What are those, the other levels? What are they? Are they like
These?
trailing stops? Yes.
These are Fibonacci levels.
Okay.
So that would give some additional information about support and resistance, but they're just fib levels.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was like an ATR trailing stop. I wasn't sure what those numbers were, but I do like this this range breakout. I think that is just great. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes, and so right now, this is going to provide some resistance, this Fibonacci level, and the 5-day EMA is going to provide some resistance. So we should continue to get a move to the downside here. And I think no matter what happens, I shouldn't say no matter what happens, but as long as there's not a really strong move on the part of the market to the upside, then coin should perform the way we expect it to the downside. Even if the SPY moves up, we would expect it to continue down. So looking at
that's what's happening now. SPY is moving up and the VIX is moving down.
Yeah, and let's go to the VIX. So the VIX now is hitting support at this opening range high. So this could hold. If it does, then the VIX could continue to make its move back to the upside. So if we look at SPY, we had this hammer. So I talked about the hammer on coin. It was different in the fact that it was red, but we've got this green bullish hammer on SPY. So SPY could now make a move to the upside. So I could offset my Sava, not Sava. I could offset my coin put with a SPY call, because it appears based on this that this could be the bottom for SPY, this hammer here. But we don't have any assurance of that. And, you know, again, if SPY falls back below this opening range low, at that point, that's a good signal. Just go ahead and take it to the downside. So what you want to see is you want to see this test, for example, of the opening range low. And it came back, it tested it, it didn't hold as resistance. It fell through again, it tested, didn't hold as resistance. So now if it falls through again, I'm expecting, again, remember the multiple times that it hits support and resistance. This is 1, this is 2, this would be 3. At that point, I think SPY is just going to continue heading to the downside. So let's check in on coin. Coin is consolidating below this fib level. So I'm gonna put this in my portfolio. Oh, look at deer. Still climbing. Sava's consolidating. Fisker. Consolidating. So see, Fisker broke through. You got this hammer, which is bullish, green hammer. Then you wanted to test here. It did. And now you buy on the next move down once it falls below. If it falls below. Zim. We talked about Zim to the upside. That's a nice move. I'm looking at a 5-minute chart. It looks even nicer. A 30-minute chart, I should say. This is what it looks like on a 30-minute chart. With good volume, by the way. So now we've got this breakout on Zim here. That's just again, this is one that I would consider swinging again to the upside. Coin still consolidating. SPY. SPY is going to hit some resistance here, and we're going to see if in fact it declines. And again, if SPY falls through this opening range low, that's the time to buy the put. VIX finding support. Upstart. Square. Square would be this would be a move to the downside. Square came back. It tested this opening range low, and it held so far. So again, you buy on a downward movement or downside move on Square. Right now it's consolidating, so you don't want to buy into a consolidation. Facebook. Newmont still consolidating. Wow. So is Neo. and so is Rivian. So I'd stay away from Neo. I'd stay away from Rivian because of the consolidation. And it looks like SPY is going to give us a chance to trade it to the upside. So I'm going to use that as a hedge because I'm going to stay in my coin put. But if SPY is going to break this opening range high, then I would look to consider trading SPY to the upside as a hedge against my coin put in the event it turns against me. Let's look again at the 400. For Wednesday. All right, so looking at a SPY call for Wednesday, May 25th, and a $400 call. What we need is we need to see SPY break the opening range high, and then it needs to find support at that level. If it does trade to the downside, then we're just going to stay with our Sava put. So I keep calling it Sava, our coin put. We're not going to trade SPY to the downside. The only reason why I would consider trading SPY to the upside is a hedge, because I do want to stay in this put on coin, because I believe that based on the consolidation, it is going to make a nice strong move to the downside, again, based on this inside week. So the inside week, I'll show you the chart. Again, this is a very narrow body. So this was a strong consolidation here. So any direction it takes should be a strong breakout, either to the up or downside. So it looks like it's going to be to the downside. And as a result of that, I want to get the full move. So I would look to swing this coin put. And we're approaching slowly, ever so slowly, this level here. Now, what's interesting is it's showing that coin is oversold. So I'd have to be careful in watching this, because it could be that this previous week's low becomes support. I'm going to keep my eye on this, because given the fact that it's giving that oversold signal, I'm not so sure if it's going to stay down here. And let's take a look at, again, SPY. All right, so I'm gonna buy SPY call. And that's gonna be my hedge. So I'm in a coin put and a SPY call. And I bought the Wednesday expiration on SPY, the 400. And I'm using it as a hedge. So coin has turned. So looking at coin on a 30-minute chart. I don't want this, well, this is a red hammer. Closes in about 4 minutes. As long as it's not a green hammer, I feel a bit more comfortable, but I don't like the fact that it's closing on a hammer here. But we are above, we are below the 5-day EMA. So we have a falling VIX, but the VIX has support. We have a SPY that's consolidating, and I didn't wait for it to break and close. That's an important point. It needs to break the opening range high, and then it needs to close above it. And ideally, the next candle would be green.
So
Fortunately,
what do you track from here? What's kind of,
I'm sorry, say it again. Morris?
Sorry.
It's okay. What were you asking?
No. Something else clicked in.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're at
Richard, can you share your setup?
Pardon?
Will you share your trade setup?
This one?
Yes. The
Yes.
like with the active, it's set up
Well,
just like, yes,
So do you have two screens?
yes.
Okay, all right, because I'm going to show you the second screen that I have. So I also have this screen up. But yes, I will share it. So when you use the setup, it automatically will place these three screens on your second monitor.
Okay.
And I keep the VIX and the SPY up. And then for whatever I'm tracking, for example, I'll have a 5-minute chart with the VWAP. I have a 30-minute chart. I have a 1-hour chart. And normally this is 4 hours. So yes, let me save this. And
Thank
then I
you.
will send it to you. I'll drop it in the chat.
The SPY is turning.
It is. It is indeed. All right, so let me share workspace. going to drop this in the chat. All right, and there you go.
Thank you. I'm adding it now.
All right, you're very welcome. So I'm going to go back to my other screen. All right, so we've got this move down on coin continuing, which is good. Yeah, the SPY is misbehaving. Let's just say that. So looking at the VIX, the fact that the VIX is not really making a strong move to the upside tells me that we're going to have, or we could have a bullish market this week. Looking at the 30-minute chart here, there's this overhead resistance at 30.86, and we've got this red spinning top. And looking at the 1 hour, again, not a lot of conviction, not a lot of strength. So what we have from a SPY perspective now, looks like, is we are now up above the opening range. We just hit a fib level, and then we're going to get rejected. So I'm going to, again, sit in this coin trade as a swing, and looking at the opening today, I think it's probably a good trade to the downside. I'm going to use as a gauge the 5-day EMA to help me stay in this trade. As long as I stay below the 5-day EMA, if I close below it, then I'm good. If I break below the $60.51, I'm going to add to it. Otherwise, I'm just going to wait with a target of $40.83. That's $20 to the downside. So that could be a nice trade. For SPY, about Wednesday's expiration, if SPY closes above the 5-day EMA, 393.74, it looks like it's going to get there, then I would consider swinging SPY as well, maybe even adding to it. All right, so it is 10:31. And did you get that link, Princess?
Yes.
Alrighty.
Yes, I did, and I added it. So it was successfully added. So I'm going to look at it some more. But thank you so much.
Okay, alrighty. And
I
like
do
that
have a
SPY.
question.
Yeah,
So you
go
were
ahead.
saying if the SPY closes below 393, and that's on the daily chart, right?
Right.
And you would make that decision towards the close, the end of the session.
Well, you know, if the SPY really makes a strong move up, and I'm like up 200%, then I'll just get out. But as long as the SPY closes above 393.63, I would look to swing it to Wednesday, because I would expect a gap up tomorrow. Based on what I'm seeing here, this is a daily chart on the MACD, on the RSI. It looks like SPY is going to make a nice strong move to the upside today. And all indications are, based on the chart, that that is true. So yeah, but I'm fairly confident right now that I'm going to end up swinging this. So that's why I bought Wednesday
Okay.
expiration instead of today.
Yeah.
Okay, and that $400 level it seems to be that the SPY likes that level. So I expect it to get back to that level. And I have a target right now of 405, but by the end of the week, I wouldn't be surprised if we can get the 420 on the SPY. So we have an $11.81 ATR. So based on that, so the low today was 390.38 plus 11.81. So 402.19. 402.19 would be the exhaustion of the ATR for the SPY on a daily. So that would be a nice trade to the upside. At that point, I'd have to decide whether to stay in or exit if it hits 402. Because I did buy the $400 call. But so far, so good.
Thanks, Richard.
All right. Thank you guys. And we will talk soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Trading.
All right. Happy trading to you guys as well.